Hello, welcome to another episode of Disruption Talks, where we invite top experts to discuss digital acceleration, winning strategies, innovation, and scaling products. My name is Jakub Wajda, and I'm Commercial and Consulting Director at Netguru. Today we have a special guest, and I'm happy to host Valentina Salvi, who is the Head of Product Research at OLX. Hi, Valentina.
Hello, hi Kuba, hi everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today. Hello.
Likewise. Thank you for taking time to talk about the research renaissance and how exactly driving customer experience with AI-powered insights looks at OLX. It will be a fantastic episode. So, Valentina, your career started with the deep ethnographic research in places like Uganda and Namibia, and today you are leading the AI-powered product research at OLX. So, when you look back, what fundamentally changed and what stayed surprisingly the same?
Yes, indeed, like first and foremost, thank you for the intro, and I totally recognize myself in that shift because in the 10 years of my career, it's true that I always had sort of roles within the human-centered design type of umbrella, but declined in different contexts. So at the beginning, more social innovation, service design driven projects, and then I shifted to consultancy for 5 years, where I could conduct research, but also design activities for different clients. And then for the past 5 years and counting, working in-house. So at Globo and now at OLX. So I've been experiencing also the research practice through this different context and throughout time. I definitely noticed some similarities, but also profound shifts, right? That also with the age of AI and the new technological capabilities are now, on the table and shifting the context considerably. So if I look at the evolutions, so the aspects that changed, the first one that I spot in my experience, at least, is this shift from deep context to scaled intelligence. Because if I look back in the first projects I conducted, the idea of research was very much connected to ethnography. So living and breathing the end user's environment, being there with them, conduct workshops with them, conduct live interviews with them where they are actually, located. While after the pandemic, obviously, and after my shift into tech companies, research became, by default, a remote first practice because that way it was much easier to tap into audiences from widespread geographies with more speed, flexibility. There are obviously values that are very much attached to the fast-paced nature of tech environments, right? They need to stay competitive. They need to work fast with high rhythm and intensity. So this is definitely a big shift, but also, and this leads me to scaled intelligence. For instance, now at OLX, we're moving from research as a stage in product development, a very fixed, component, to research as a habit. So a much more continuous, ongoing practice that AI and AI tooling obviously helps us to accelerate the scale and make available in real time and much easier to conduct. So those are the two big shifts that at least I experienced. When it comes to what stays through, at least when it comes to skills, I still see holistic thinking and the ability to connect the dots within complexity as something highly relevant. Because with AI, of course, we can surface patterns now much quicker and also get the perception that we know it all because it's much faster, right, to get answers and to connect the dots and digest lots of documents. But I think that in order to make effective decisions, really aware of the context, still the ability to have this big picture, as an expert and to connect the dots and to be aware of all the nuances and to have that sensibility is something really, really powerful that it's actually applicable today and really useful in our environment.
That completely makes sense, and it's still the same narrative that in the end the user matters, and the customer focus is something that really matters, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So I want to start with something quick at the beginning as the
Mhm.
wrap and the warm up for us. So, if you could make a bet for AI and e-commerce, is it complete bullshit or the real value?
Good one. So I think that let's say bullshit in this area. Let's start from that. It's that implementing AI in e-commerce means instant adoption. That is just flipping a switch, and AI will make it great. So I believe that AI is really valuable and accelerates very much the success on validated needs. But in order to spot the right opportunities and ensure that those use cases are solid, you really need to conduct a rigorous discovery and analysis first.
That makes sense. And as you are the head of the product research, can you name one underrated leadership skill?
Okay, so beyond kindness and empathy, which I'm a fan of, I would say that the next skill that is rarely talked about is protecting your team's focus and mental well-being. Because in companies, right, there are pivots, turbulences, challenges. So the capacity for a leader to protect their team, or at least trying, right, to do so as effectively as possible, I think is really important.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. And as you said, the focus is super important, and your work across the geographics. What's your favorite trick to getting the team's attention?
I would say starting from the benefit, what they can get from it. So what's in it for me type of aspect before diving into too much detail. I think if that's clear to your audience, that usually attention follows, and that's usually effective in my experience.
Okay, that completely makes sense, and yeah, I think that I have warmed up a lot. So let's go deeper into our main topics. So, uh, how has your approach to customer insights evolved over time, and which human skills your early research days still matters most in the age of AI?
Yeah. So let's say a little bit connected with what I was mentioning earlier. I think that in my experience, there are definitely a couple of phases that I could experience. So beyond this deep context to scale intelligence type of thing, also I think that the researcher's role changed from being pretty much the kind of the one doing it all and producing data right from start to finish, and also taking on tactical research, strategic research, like literally any type of projects that involve the gathering insights, no, and data and customer perspectives, from to being a little bit more of an orchestrator, an accelerator, an enabler also of other roles, especially product managers, designers that are also very close to the end user. So definitely this is an additional shift beyond the ones I mentioned, from being a little bit of a superhero doing it all to being an orchestrator and also accelerator of others, and also an additional skill that I can think about that definitely stays true also to the current dynamic is also for researchers having the ability to have business acumen, because I feel that over time, where we actually can move the needle right as a practice, and where the majority of researchers' time should go is in conducting strategic work that is much complex in nature, that has to do with the positioning of the company in the market, new products, and so on. And for that you need to speak the language of the business. You need to have this business acumen that can really enable you to speak the same language, to connect and communicate, with stakeholders, oftentimes leadership, at the same level as peers, as partners, and only that way decisions can land, taking into account your influence, as a researcher, as a practitioner.
Yeah, so I see that this still the path to finding the the gold grail. So finding the sweet spot between the empathy and the scale, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you need that.
Yeah. So that leads nicely into how the research fits into the product teams today. And personally, I'm the huge Tolkien fan. And what resonates with me is that you once quoted that researchers are the product teams, what the Sam is to Frodo. And how does this partnership actually work in practice at OLX?
Yeah, that's a nice one. Actually, it's not from me. It's from an event that I attended in Amsterdam. I remember, and it was a great researcher from Booking.com that actually had that nice slide, and it really it stuck with me. It really resonated because it's very much aligned with how I'm trying to position my work and my team right in the larger scheme, of product development. Because if we stick for a second to the same analogy, right, of the Lord of the Rings, and by the way, I'm also a huge fan. Frodo to me is the product manager, right? So the one that is carrying the heavy burden of the product, not alone, obviously, right? This is why there are product teams with different crafts supporting one another. But this is, a little bit how I see it. So and Sam is the researcher, would be like my team. So on the same side of the story, supporting one another, sparring on different, problems to be solved. And so bringing that back into the product manager and, kind of researcher type of dynamic and collaboration and product teams at large, it's all about sharing the burden together, essentially navigating the unknown together and doing also a reality check, right? So helping shed light on the next bits of the journey, on the direction that we're taking, just so that we can succeed. So in the day to day, that means less oh, you researcher, do the script and see you, see you later, see you at the end of the finish line when the insights and results are ready. And it's more, let's shape the questions together. Let's, align on a strategy. And then potentially, we can create a prototype in Lovable or materialize, these insights into a concrete solution. Nowadays also with low code tools, it becomes easier, in my view, to collaborate and to spar together. And this is a little bit the mindset that I wish for this collaboration to have.
And what happens when the research challenges strong product conviction?
You mean when let's say, when the insights tell otherwise, or where we have evidence that potentially we should.
Those tension moments, maybe.
Yeah. I think those tension moments are actually golden to me, because this is where, actually we start having conversations for the greater good, not only of the product, of the end customer. This is where we start aligning, mindsets and skill sets and crafts towards really the same common goal. So um, to be honest, in my experience, any time that I saw my team or even myself, when I was obviously hands-on, when I had these conversations at times, heated, with different perspectives and on a topic, they always led to a better outcome, a better direction, because you end up compromising on certain things, understanding the other party part of you, and ultimately you stress test your own idea of your own direction that you will go about, with the perspective of others. And that's usually making things better, more valuable, more grounded, and aware of all the different angles and risks.
Hmm? And following this, you mentioned the strategy, the milestones, and so how do you define strategic research at OLX? And what is one high stakes, ambiguous question your team is tackling right now?
Yes, so when it comes to strategic research, I think that the easier is always to compare it a little bit to the tactical one, which is not the easiest to kind of feel closer, a little bit more tangible for the nature of it. So if tactical research has more to do with the product, it's more concrete. It has to do with the interface, whether users understand the interface. They can navigate seamlessly, the UX, the UI of it. I think strategic research is the one that, on the other hand of the spectrum, holds greater complexity, is more abstract in nature, is more ambiguous, because it really tackles high stakes problems and themes that, if not done right, can pose, a risk for, the company or the product success. An example, right, is market positioning, or we're launching, a new product, for instance, in the market, and what is our, market positioning for that product. It's really a way to grasp all that intelligence, all those insights that can really ensure that the company and the teams driving decision making can make those decisions in an informed manner. Or, for instance, how do we optimize trust and safety across markets? This is also a pretty important question for any digital marketplace ecosystem, these days. To make a tangible example of a topic that we tackle these days, we recently worked on a segmentation project in order to get to know our car parts sellers a little bit better. So as a result of that, we could not only get to know them better, holistically, right, as an audience, but also we were able to identify cohorts, right, smaller businesses, medium businesses, dismantlers, each and every with different expectations, nuances, characteristics, so that we could serve them better, as a company, and in the experiences that we provide. So this is the type of project that we do undertake, for instance, under the umbrella of this higher complexity strategic research.
Those are the great examples, and thanks for those insights. So I have a feeling that AI seems to be a major accelerator here. So how is AI transforming the role of the product researcher right now? So especially in moving away from the repetitive tasks toward the strategic thinking, what do you think?
Yeah, totally. No, absolutely. That's definitely a big shift. Now that AI brought to the table, and that is, definitely triggering. And I also like the fact that, for instance, the name of the episode is called, the Research Renaissance, because I believe that even before a renaissance, there should be a reckoning. So I really see that, especially with now the scaling of AI. I think it's very beneficial for every team to do a little bit of an inward reflection on what worked well in the past years and how we could position, ourselves better in terms of research practice moving forward, so that we leverage AI. We use it at our advantage to focus on more meaningful work, right? Also, you were mentioning doing less repetitive work and actually focusing on this strategic work that can move the needle and can really use and maximize the skill set that expert researchers have. And with AI coming into play, not only for research, but also for design, for engineering, marketing, and whatnot, every role in tech, I feel, is experiencing a significant humbling process of redefinition of their role in order to really spot where they can add greater value, not than before, and redefining, the way forward. For research, I think that indeed, in line with what I was mentioning before, we're shifting from being less a data producer and being more an orchestrator, a strategic orchestrator for others and also with others disciplines. This means, for example, in the day-to-day, that the research capacity in my team is dedicated for the 60% to strategic work, because that should be the core focus of the team, where their skill set is truly maximized and where we can support the business to stay ahead of the curve and to look at the future and to be forward looking as a business. But also the 40% of our capacity is focused on research democratization, which I think is a big topic that indeed AI, back to your question, sort of opened up. And at OLX, we've been doing that for a few years, so it's not new, and it's not necessarily something that we started to do in the last couple of years. It's something that we saw the potential of to scale research much earlier, but definitely now researchers' time also is spent there to empower, enable, and accelerate others in conducting research with a good, quality range, so that also AI can be used well, now providing, good enough insights that indeed can lead to good decisions.
And if you can tell us about your decision lens, when testing AI tools, what's your go no go mantra, and what's the deal breaker?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Also, actually, recently we tested, we piloted an AI feature, which is AI moderators. You probably have heard about it. It's quite a hot topic within the research field, but then decided not to go with that, so not to adopt it. So my mantra is that testing doesn't mean adopting. As a team, we are really curious and really excited about testing, AI tools and stay ahead of the curve, and we're embracing it, right, as something that we want to use at our advantage. But I really believe that there should be critical thinking every time that we do decide whether we want to adopt on, or even, kind of create an AI-driven, experience or feature for our end users. In this case, for example, in the case of the AI moderators, to make it very concrete, we ran a couple of pilots because we wanted to assess whether this feature could help us scale research democratization at OLX. As I said, it's one of our goals. And also provide the flexibility to the end users in order for them to pick and choose when and at what time they could have, joined an interview with us. And the result, after testing it also with other roles, was that we were given the perception that users were not, the customers were not, worthy of our time. And this is absolutely not aligned with, our values that we stand for, because we're very much customer led, and this is a value that definitely drives our daily operations. And so we decided that at the moment, given, the current level of the technology, it was just not in line with how, we wanted to conduct research. And so we tested it, but then we didn't, adopt it, because I think that there should always be a mix to providing value to the end user, but also providing a value to the business. Like, the two should very much integrate. And in this case, there wasn't this match.
Okay, so thinking about the research democratization in practice, we can assume that the traditional research reports is still relevant, but the agentic AI changing how the teams consume the insights, right?
Yes, very much, very much. When it comes to reporting and consuming the insights, so of course within, OLX, so we use AI agents in the day to day. So this is definitely a reality. I tend to think about AI agent as the new team members of our team. In a way, it's an extension of our capabilities, and I think it's going to be more and more like that moving forward. But also we tested Notebook LM, for example, by Google, and we have a really positive experience using that. And also our stakeholders and the teams that we enable have a really positive experience using that. So we are moving definitely away from the traditional reports, so PDFs or docs or slides, and we are much more going towards a kind of consumption of this material in a way that is conversational, right? Very much aligned with the AI tooling that we use, and the Gemini and the ChatGPT that we all in our field kind of leverage. I'm not a fan of big statements, but indeed I really feel that when it comes to reports in the traditional way, booking stakeholders' time, and then sharing a presentation and then sending, the slides or reports, we are saying goodbye to that era. And now it's much more uploading all the relevant documentations in Notebook on whatever other, similar tool, and letting stakeholders slice and surface, the insights much more independently based on the questions that matter to them. A product manager might have some, a designer might have different ones, a marketer, an engineer, a product analytics might have different questions. And this way we give a little bit of autonomy to the teams, and also the possibility for them to surface insights in a different way. Now, right? I think Notebook allows you, obviously, the standard conversational manner, but also it creates mind maps, it creates podcasts or slides or videos for you, depending on how you like to consume the data. So this is definitely the direction we're taking, not only at the project level, right? Because normally we indeed upload the transcripts or the video recordings, and then we leverage notebook capabilities to socialize the insights, but also at the repository level. So we stored all the past research into notebook, and then that way stakeholders can have one insights hub that they can go to in order to retrieve all the knowledge that over time we created and we built on our user base.
Yeah, so it looks like you are fully equipped with the best in-class tools. So that's obvious that the OLX is the innovation-driven company. And thinking about your perspective and looking ahead, what skills would the product researchers need most in the next few years?
Good question. Good question. I'm also asking myself that every day, and my answer could change in a few months from now. But what I could say is beyond also what I mentioned earlier on, holistic thinking, business acumen. That I really believe that stay through, and I see them applicable also looking ahead. But I also think that for researchers, soft skills and the ability to coach others, enable others, with the right attitude and mindset is actually becoming an integral part of their strategic role. Because as I was saying before, now let's say the bar to enter, in the research practice or in conducting research tasks is much lower, right, with AI. And anyone can do that. It is the same also for coding, right? So definitely the barrier is lower. Things are changing. There's a whole set of capabilities that now any professional pretty much can access. And with that, it becomes pivotal to really help teams understand what good looks like, what is the minimum amount of quality that we should strive for, so that you can actually take advantage of the work that you're doing, of those insights that you're uncovering for sound decisions. So I believe that this is the ability to coach others, to definitely support, act as a consultant, and have also those soft skills to spar, and empower others, to help them rise the maturity and familiarity they have with conducting research, is part of the skills that I see. And also embracing AI fluency. So this is a given in my team. This is something we're doing every day, but I definitely could not see the practice any differently. So learning how to work with AI agents in the daily operations, so that we can be more efficient and gain more time to work on strategic projects. Yeah.
Thank you for this. It's super meaningful, I believe, for our audience. Let me put there the last question, because we are mostly running out of time. And maybe the big question mark, because what about the creativity AI brought to the table? How does it looks like with your team? What's your observation here?
I would say that creativity definitely got amplified, if you ask me. Because with the AI capabilities, the AI tooling that we have, it's much easier, I feel, to build on top of each other's ideas, to test new things, and to propose something, and then to iterate on together. So in my experience, I definitely see how AI amplified that, and especially with a human in the loop that can direct, AI, you can definitely land on interesting ideas much quicker. I see this also in the way that research proposals or strategy pieces or briefs are created much faster. I think it made it easier to go beyond, the blank page syndrome, and also it really enabled us to have new concepts, new prototypes of potential tooling that we could, roll out within the team in a matter of hours. Internally, we conducted an hackathon on how to use Lovable in order to come up with ideas that could help us in the upskilling front, right, on research democratization. In a few hours, the team was able to create different tools on how to coach stakeholders on crafting, a good survey that could actually enable them to have insights answering their initial questions, or a blind spotter tool that could enable stakeholders to turn their transcripts into a fully blown and fleshed out customer journey map, a UX research trainer, and so on. I could keep going. So it definitely amplified that, and at the speed of light.
That's the pity that we don't have more time to discuss, because we have a lot of angles to tackle. But that was a brilliant discussion. Thank you, Valentina, for your perspective and your insights and your view of how the research, UX, and the AI works together at OLX to bring the value for us, for users, in the end. And frankly, we're proud that Netguru could be the part of this journey, and we keep our fingers crossed for the further success and new projects at the horizons. So thank you again, and thanks for our listeners and the viewers, and have a great day, and see you soon in the next episode of the Disruption Talk.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.